I call it an everyone's an expert phase because you could almost do no wrong. Now, there's a difference between getting in here and then getting out, right? And I know a lot of people who've made a lot of money and then lost it all.
What's up, BitSquad? Welcome to another edition of the BitLab Academy Alpha Series, released with the shortened version of this full-length interview here on BitBoy Crypto. If you want to see the full version of this interview, head over to BitLab Academy, which you can find in the homepage, looking at the other brands that we have here at Hit Network. You can also go to youtube.com/@BitLab Academy. Join our community. We've got a lot of excellent content there. We're there every day, Monday through Friday, 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Kelly Kellum, and welcome to the show. Make sure you're hitting that like, subscribe, and dinging that bell so you can be a part of this community here at the BitSquad. And also head over to BitLab Academy and join us there. So without any further ado, let's jump right on in with our guest, Mr. Jordan Lindsay. How are you doing, good sir? How are you feeling? Thank you for being here.
Kelly, thanks for having me here. I always enjoy talking markets, and especially with you. I'm excited here to discuss markets with you all today. And what we're going to do is we're going to take something really complicated, which the markets are, and we're going to simplify it down. And I hope that you walk away from this today with really having just clarity of where we are now, where we're potentially going, and your signal for when this bull market really takes off. So let's start off, and you probably have seen this lately. And this kind of makes it look really easy. Is it really this simple? There's nothing simple about it. There's nothing simple about trading and investing. And if you look at just 2022 alone, you know that most people got it wrong. They were those that remained perma bullish throughout the whole downtrend, 75% drawdown, and they're buying every single bottom, exhausted by the end. You had those that were overly bearish the whole time, and at the bottom, they remained overly bearish, missing the run up over here. And we had a massive run up over here so far, 100% to the upside. Now, this chart here, this is ancient. I used this chart in 2019. It was like my roadmap. And I wonder today, as you're seeing price here off the bottom and price going straight up, I wonder today how a lot of people would analyze this and interpret this. Would they think that Bitcoin was going to be making new all-time highs this year or before the halving? Or would they be expecting a long accumulation phase? Now, we've advanced quite a bit since then, and I'm going to show you what we're looking at now. And this is more of probably what is an accurate interpretation of what we were just looking at. And I want you, Kelly, and everyone to focus right over here at the top of this accumulation channel. There's a very special level over there, and it's called the 0.786 retracement fib. On a log scale chart, if you just draw from the top down to the low, you will have this retracement. If you use the 0.786 retracement fib, you're going to notice a couple of important things. Prior to each halving, here's the halving. Prior to the halving, price was able to retrace off of the low all the way to that retracement fib. Last cycle over again, prior to the halving, price was able to retrace off the low all the way to that 0.786 retracement fib. Now, what I'm going to show you in just a moment is going to bring a lot of clarity for you. And it doesn't matter whether or not we're able to retrace before the halving, as this one and this previous cycle has before, or after. So I'm going to just make this a little bit simple and show you that this outermost trend line that you're looking at that I'm highlighting for you right now, you could see them over here. The bull market is confirmed once price breaks above that. Very simple. And you could see this time it broke out before the halving. This time it broke out after the halving. We don't know whether or not it's going to break out before or after, but once it does, that's the last bit of trendline resistance and the bull market is confirmed. Now, it's certainly not the earliest. The earliest you can see in green over here, and this is the earliest potential possibility of the bull market. We called it out this year back in December as 17,250 as the bull market prediction. Wound up so far being correct. Now, we talked about that we're going to try to take something complicated and make it as simple as possible. What we're looking at here right now is when that bull market is actually taking off. It doesn't mean just because this has happened in the past that it will happen again. We will also look for where this time is different, and it could be different from many different areas.
Well,
Now, let
I
me just
wanted to
jump.
I wanted to point out for a second. If you go back to that last chart, on all three instances, on that almost purplish line, that middle line, it seems like on every instance in these the past two cycles, there was a price action push up to that region before ultimately it got rejected and then broke through it. Similarly in 2019, and then again where we're at right now, we're actually just now testing, not even really testing that zone. So even if we were to have some sort of strong bullish impulse, there's high likelihood that we have some sort of interaction there if we don't pull back ahead of it. But the other thing I wanted to or ask you about, so many people coming into the space early on, they're so concerned with getting in at the bottom and getting out at the top that they blind themselves with so many signals they don't even know what to do. And they jump in on FOMO, they jump out on fear, essentially trading on hope. And my sort of argument with trading on hope is essentially if your strategy is to buy because you don't want to miss out on something, whether it's profits or losses, then you are literally putting your market in the money, putting your money in the market to donate it to somebody else's profits. If you trade with strategy, you're never really going to hit the absolute bottom or the absolute top. However, waiting on those confirmations and these signals that you're breaking down right here helps provide clarity on a little patience, yes, but also allowing you to wait for the price action to do the work to present the opportunity. So you're not jumping into something, you're letting the opportunity come to you. So what would you say, looking at this chart? We've had a strong bullish impulse. Do you feel like once we get that area broken on whether it's the middle line where your mouse is now or the top line, is there still gains to be made for somebody having missed so far from the bottom between 15,000 all the way up to, that looks like it's around 30, was that $36,000, $39,000 there? Is there still gains to be made if somebody waits for that longer term confirmation?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, there's a lot to unpack in what you just said, and so much of it is such high signal. A lot of people don't really want to hear the important things they need to hear to be successful. They just have these ambitions of wanting to make a lot of money with a little bit of work, and it doesn't work that way. And
Mm.
it's not just a little bit of patience you need a lot of patience. And you could have a strategy that is that is extraordinarily successful. Well, then you need the discipline and the psychological makeup to be able to follow it. So there's nothing easy about all of this. We do want to simplify it down. Your question is, are there gains to be made after, even this outermost level is broken? That that's that's really where it begins. Now, from where we are today, and Kelly, I'm going to try to answer your question first as quickly as possible, and then I'm going to build off of it. So I'm going
All
to do
right.
that by jumping back over here, and we talked about the 0.786 level. Now I want you to see that these bull markets begin, like I call it the bull of all bulls running. When Bitcoin is you could say the bull market began down over here, but this is very uncertain times and we don't know what happens next. And I will give you an idea of what I think happens next, but I'm trying to give you an idea of confirmation. if you go to where price touched that 0.786 retracement fib and you draw a line, and then you go to the next one over here and the same thing, you come back over to the 0.786 fib and you draw a line. Now look at that. And what do you see over here? I think I could draw something like this, Kelly, just to highlight it for you. And I'm going to go ahead and look for, right? I'm going to do it over here too. And so you were asking, is there still money to be made? And I'm gonna say, well, the easiest or the most highly probable money is going to be made not down here where we are. We haven't cleared this resistance, 32,500. We haven't cleared the resistance above it, right? And I know that desire to get in early, but here is the time that you're going to see not only Bitcoin running. Here is the time that if you wanted to speculate out there in crypto, in the altcoins, that is when you have the highest probability. I call it an everyone's an expert phase because you could almost do no wrong. Now, there's a difference between getting in here and then getting out, right? And I know a lot of people who've made a lot of money and then lost it all. So again, the work never stops. But right now we're trying to, is that helpful in giving you a lot of clarity of what signal you're looking for the green light? And I'm trying to make it easy for everyone out there because there's nothing easy about it. And we have two things that we're focusing on today. First of all, when the bull market is confirmed, the break of the outer line. And then when the confirmation begins, when it takes off, and that's that move above the 0.786 retracement fib.
No, I mean, yeah, I think that's spot on. And I think what you're really highlighting there, and you just had so much to unpack as well. And by the way, I just want to shout out really quick, everybody, make sure you're heading over to not only my Twitter page, I meant to pull up Jordan's here. Make sure you're following when you're watching anybody do content online, make sure you're following the correct people because there's so many fake scam accounts out there for anybody doing content online. Come over here, give me a follow, and make sure you're following BitLab Academy here at Academy BitLab. And most importantly, the whole point of this little segment is make sure you're following Jordan here at Traders Mastery. And I'm going to share a little bit about what he does as well over here with his website, conquertrades.com. But I just wanted to shout that out because Jordan's sharing so much valuable information. But to your point there, I think, it takes a lot of work. We see people like CryptoFace doing $7 million trade. We come in 2 weeks in, we've done 3 trades, and we think we're pro traders. And then we do a 40X because we think the capital amount's so low. We're trying to keep up with somebody that's been doing it for a decade, decade plus or more. And they have not only the skills, the strategies, and the tools, but also the understanding of making money in markets isn't focusing just on profits. It's almost equal, if not more, focus on risk management. So these little areas that you have essentially circled on your chart present wonderful opportunities for profits, but also they tend to be about 75% of those, that parabolic action is essentially one of the most asymmetric risk off opportunities in the space. And that's what you really want to look for, especially if you're a newer trader. Don't dance around with trying to nail the bottom, because if you are a newer trader, it's highly likely you're going to get very emotionally triggered. And when you trade emotionally, every dollar you put in the market becomes more and more likely that what you're doing is donating it to somebody that has a larger portfolio. So yeah, excellent information there. And I'm going to shut myself up now. I want to hear more from you.
That's so well said. Please don't. I mean, it's so important to highlight everything you are highlighting. And yeah, that's all this is. This is a sweet spot zone, And a lot of people, we talked about early on how most people got 2022 wrong. And what you're looking for is to be able to, so a lot of people are trying to do as much as possible in a little time as possible. That's not the perspective you should be having to be successful at this game, right? Been full-time trader over 20 years. You want to think long-term, and you want to make sure that you are successful and you are going to be here, not just today, but tomorrow and for decades to come. So let's take a look at what's going on right now in that, in the right in front of us. And we were looking at that line, that first bold line was coming in right here at 32,500. We have horizontal resistance. We also have that trend line resistance over here. And then we also have this very important trend line that I'm highlighting. It's where the low of the US banking crisis was tested. It's where we saw the SEC bring that litigation versus Coinbase and Binance. And then BlackRock announcement kind of saved the day, touching that trend line. And we just touched into that trend line this week. And once again, it has held. By the way, this US banking crisis is also show another important trend line over here. And it's going to highlight it very quick for you over here. And you can see that was also the bear market breakout. This trend line over here, once price broke out, that was, again, a confirmation that repairs were taking place. And you can see it was tested here and then tested again. Once it was tested again, that's when we were able to draw in this trend line. If price breaks or loses and closing below this trend line, Kelly, we could be setting ourselves up for, at best, an accumulation phase. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know that a lot of people right now are talking about these really lofty expectations of something maybe like Bitcoin hitting new all-time highs and this year in 2023, or they're looking at maybe before
while quantitative tightening is underway yet. Yeah.
Quantitative tightening is happening. And not only, the last time that quantitative tightening was happening, we saw Bitcoin, obviously, we saw a couple of things happening. I'm glad you brought that up. We saw equities making all-time highs, right? And why equities were making all-time highs, Bitcoin was not. That's over here, right here. So at this point in time, this whole period right here into the halving, equities are trading at new all-time highs. In September 2019, the Fed started actually expanding their balance sheet again because the overnight repo market broke and equities literally melted up. Bitcoin did not. Bitcoin went sideways. It could happen again, even if equities are able to continue their run. We could see, because of the dynamics that are undergoing in the Fed cycle, we could see further pressure. So let's take a look at this. And we're talking about maybe there is some type of accumulation period coming up. We talked about like what we need to know if we break above 32,500, that then opens up the door for potentially the next move up. That next move up could be somewhere between 37 and 40K, right? That would be nice. I hope it happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I just want to be ready for everything, right? If we lose this trend line over here, maybe we set up that long accumulation phase. Let's take a look at what that looked like. And if you were to take price and line up those past cycles from November, which was actually the highest price point of last cycle, November 2021, and line those up, you could see in past cycle behavior, you see that, well, this current cycle, it bottomed the same time as that 2016 cycle, the 2017 high. And then price right here, from here into the halving, kind of goes sideways. Now we see this event over here. This was the global lockdowns. This was a credit event. And you saw that Bitcoin came off. So the good news here is that let me take this a little further, then come back to this. All right. Do you got a couple of minutes for me to kind of get into it?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to just shout out though, everybody. We're going to be cutting everybody watching this on BitBoy Crypto. First off, thank you for watching this alpha series with BitLab Academy here on BitBoy Crypto. And also thank you to Mr. Jordan Lindsay here for his 2-decade plus of professional trading experience and also in global equities as well. Now is I think he's more pretty heavily, if not predominantly, in taking advantage of the best asset class on earth. That's Bitcoin and the crypto market as well. If you want to see more of this interview, definitely watch the full length over on BitLab Academy, which you can find right here. You can see right here, youtube.com/@BitLab Academy. And I do want to say, definitely check out this interview because there's going to be a lot more in here. He's giving some really key targets and things that we need to be watching for and what we should be doing right now to prepare for all the little hiccups that are going to come along the way with likely delays coming in a lot of the ETFs over the next couple months. Are we going to rally into them? Are we going to sell off? How we can spot the bull traps in those, and a lot more signals within that. So make sure, if you haven't yet, check out bitlabacademy.com. If you haven't enrolled, you can come up here, click enroll now up here on the top right. You can still use Give Me 30 for 30% off your first month if you go in to the all access membership. which is you can see right here on the bottom right, I want all access. That gives you access to all the courses we have currently and in the future, as well as a premium Discord all in one package here. If you want the premium Discord, all the courses, and the BitLab trading stack, you can get that all here with BitLab Pro. That's 30% off every single month. And I do want to just say, make sure you're following Jordan Lindsay here at Traders Mastery. With that being said, thank you everybody that's watching here on BitBoy Crypto. Make sure you watch the full-length video. The link will be right above right now in the top left-hand corner or top right-hand corner of this video. And again, thank you for being here with us on BitLab Academy. And we're going to continue this, so come and watch the full episode.